Thanks for staying with us. So we're discussing food handling during this season, especially the second wave of COVID-19 is upon us, and a lot of people will be going out to eat and drink in places. The question, therefore, is how do we avoid food contamination and poisoning so as to stay safe during this period? And I'd like to also link that up with our conversation with the boarding house, because the kids are in boarding houses and many of them are coming home now. But how do we even ensure that for food safety in these schools? Join us on the show is a food safety expert, Mr. Sunday Bamgbose. Welcome to the show, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Good to have you. You can call us on 090-241-63440. You can also tweet to us at TVC and please hashtag YourTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, so we'll discuss COVID in a moment, but we're talking about children, boarding house and all that. In your view, how best do we ensure food safety, especially when your children are concerned, both at home and in boarding houses?
Well, let me start, by identifying what are the risks. When you talk of food safety, we are looking at 3 different areas where you can have issues. Is either you have issue with biological, chemical, or physical. If you are talking of biological, you are talking of a problem coming from microorganisms infecting the food. If you are talking about chemicals, mistakenly, adding chemicals.
Food preservatives.
It may not be hardened. We may use container that may have been used before, to store chemical. Then you now use the same to store food items, maybe your palm oil, your vegetable oil. I'm sure you must have had some cases where they say a family of 3 or 5, they took a meal or their dinner, and then by next morning, he said they are all dead. It's not impossible that something like that may have happened. And then we talk of the physical. When you talk of physical, contamination, that is when you talk of, maybe something like a pin, stapler pin, nails. Nails may even be so obvious, you may not, but something that maybe or glass particle, for example, sometimes you open your bottled drink and you see that part of the tip has already chipped off. It may go into the drink. So those are the various areas where risk comes in. Now, if we want to look at it, maybe at home or in the boarding house or even eatery or wherever. One of the major ones that you likely have will be biological food contamination coming from microorganisms. And what are the causes? What can cause this? For example, if you use chopping board that you use for your raw food, you allow contact with cooked food, that may be a problem. Yes. If you store raw food with cooked food, you may have a problem because the process of cooking, you inactivate or kill the microorganisms. Okay. But in raw food, the micro are very active. And when there is a cross contamination from the raw food to the cooked one, you remember that these are microorganisms that you cannot even see. So it's not a matter of even if I sometimes it's not even wash. You just, and you think,
No, but this thing you just talk about, because all of us, we keep food. Therefore, I put it in the freezer. And maybe there's some meat I have not boiled. and just everything just packed together, can it contaminate each other? So I put maybe the raw food on top of it, and the plastic is packed. Can it can't contaminate each other?
Well, you see, every situation you assess the risk. For example, if the food is packed and sealed, that reduces the chance of that contamination happening. But in most cases, you see, because this is inside the fridge, this is inside so I can just lump everything together. The essence of this type of conversation is that you have that consciousness.
Right.
Yeah. So every time you want to do something, you look at what are the risks I'm taking here. Right. So with that, for example, now you say you want to store your F4 and you still want to store your cooked food. Right. You now know that now I need to do extra sealing or whatever.
So we're in the season of eating a lot, and these takeaway plates are, they come in handy. You don't want to eat at the party, but you can take some home. How do we ensure that there is no chemical contamination in new plates? They come packed in hundreds, and people just they just take and fill, and even in eateries, they do it fast food. They do everything fast with such speed that you don't know when you're taking in a chemical, poisoned food.
Well, in a normal setting, except something has gone terribly wrong, those takeaway packs are supposed to be, they are non-reusable. I mean, it's not something that somebody have used and so you are supposed to just take and use. One, if it is designed for food, that means the composition is such that can, contain the food and keep it safe. So the area of concern now for such pack is how do you store them before use? So if you store them in such a way that is exposed, especially maybe to
rats,
rodents, infestation, rats, and then rat droppings and all those things can enter into those. That's where the problem comes in. But if it is well stored.
So you're saying from factory it's safe to use straight?
Yes, if it's from the factory, it is well handled in the shop, and then to your, the only concern should just be, because you don't know all through the value chain, that's only should be the concern.
Okay, sometimes you have a bottle of groundnuts, and then you want to use it either to drink garri or to make soup, and it breaks. But you don't want to lose the groundnuts, the peanuts. So you pick and pick and pick, and you're trying to avoid those bottles, specks. Is it safe to, if you can, pick it properly that you don't have those specks, or you just abandon the whole thing?
Is it dangerous to even consume bottles? Is it that a speck of bottles? Is that even dangerous?
Well, if in that scenario, what I will advise is that you just dispose. How much is a bottle of granite compared to
there are some really nice granite that is very dry. You don't want to lose it.
But God forbid, if you take a tiny piece of glass in,
yes,
3,000 cannot solve that problem.
Are you sure we've not eaten glass before? Are you sure we've not eaten glass in this country? All of us at some point we have to get it.
See,
because they will use Eba will push it down.
No.
And you are good to go.
Please, let me say this. There are so many risks that we've taken in the past. For example, there's possibility that, maybe you may not even notice. But what of, maybe this is an incident that's happened to 10 people. And then one unlucky person out of that 10, that tiny glass, once it goes somewhere inside the throat and then cause internal bleeding along the gulls. So that is the danger. And you know, the way we in the industry or the food safety expert look at it is that if there is a chance of even 1 in 1 million or 10 million, you know, getting injured or dying from consuming the food, then the fact that that probability is there, then you want to prevent it. Okay. Because you can't be sure.
Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thank you, staying with us. So we still have our guest with us. Yes, Mariam had a question for the break.
So in Nigeria, you know, we handle food with our hands. We like to eat with our hands. You go to a party, there's a tray, everybody picks up with their hands. How do you do that and still be safe without coming across, this one is feeling, what is this one feeling like? Because she wants to use a fork or she wants to use a toothpick. But how do you still maintain cultural practices and still be safe?
Thank you.
Well, that's a very tough one. Because you can control what you do with your, you can make sure before you touch food and whatever, you clean your hand, but you cannot control what other will do.
People's hands have been.
Generally, for you just have to be observant. For example, if they are serving something in a tray, right? If it is just to pick and but if it's a matter of you have to go through and select. Then for cake, I mean, I've been to parties where they pass and I do eat them, but except for somebody that is so greedy. I don't see any reason why somebody would have to be searching inside a tray for.
Okay, I get your point, but you see, there's some other examples that, because me, I'm a plantain chips addict. I mean, that's my favorite snack. But there was a day I saw a guy that sells plantain chips. He put his goods down. He went to pee, and he held something was peeing. He now dangled back, put it back in, and then carried the plantain chips and went right back to the road. I'm like,
you've not seen the one that
yeah, digging it. So when I buy it, sometimes I just have to spray the pack. But you see, these are things we do all the time. But the question therefore is that, are some of these germs good for us? I mean, because we can't really protect ourselves. Maybe there's some of the part of the thing that make us healthy, at least protect us from COVID-19. Is that what's saving Nigeria from COVID-19 today?
Well, I wouldn't say that's what is saving. Yes, because of our environment, we may have developed, sort of, not, I wouldn't say immunity, but sort of resistance to some of, these things because we've been exposed to them. So the body, defense mechanism may actually be helping. But, we should not push our luck too far. We still need to do what we need to do. For example, if you are not aware, it's a different thing. You may decide, okay, I will be buying my plantain chips from an outlet where I'm sure, you can ask questions, like maybe supermarket, who are the people, But you can't be too sure, but at least you have to be, as careful as you can.
Okay.
Let's talk about seasoning. This is the period that they are cooking and all the foods are just tasting. So you go and, how do I call it now? How do I say it? There's the white one.
MSG.
There's the normal one. And our mothers used to say the white one is the one that can poison you. I'm talking of food seasoning now. The white one can poison you. They don't.
And it's the one that makes the food very sweet.
And that one makes food sweet. So which seasoning will you, or should we even use seasoning at all? Or I'm not for mayor, but which one, you know?
Okay, let me, in
do
fact, I think it's a very good opportunity to address this.
Okay. Thank you.
I've heard this, I don't want to mention any
Brand, yes.
name. That's the white, this thing is bad, this one is. Now, if you look at the history, that white one is called MSG, monosodium glutamate. And if you look at even the cube one, the other ones, they still contain that MSG. And when you look at, there is what is called Codex Alimentarius Commission. That's the world body that is, in charge of food additives and the rest of it. Monosodium glutamate is classified as GRAS. GRAS means generally regarded as safe. So, for everything in this world, even water, moderation is the key word. Okay. So, when you use it, in fact, those things are even self-limiting, because when you put too much,
You wouldn't know if
you won't, the taste. So, it's a matter of using all these things in moderation.
So unfortunately, we have to wrap up right now.
No, there's no issue. I've even seen some scientists argue, but I've read about this thing. And what they complain about, some people, what they call Japanese syndrome, people that, go to Japanese restaurants, because this is something that is very common with them, and they were thinking that it is because of the monosodium glutamate. But there was an experiment done, and they discovered that.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. Unfortunately, but I do appreciate you. Thank you very much. And this helped us to clear that up with the MSG. So it's not like it's unsafe. You can use it. But you just have to be in moderation. Thank you very much, sir. We're going to go on a very quick break because we need to discuss this NIN issue. Okay. Everybody's talking about it, and there's a lot of crowd out there. So we need an update from the government on exactly what should be done and what has been done. Stay with us. We'll be right back. NCBC, actually.